ومن بادي الوقت هذا طبع الأيام، ومن بادي الوقت ترى هذا طبع الأيام، عذبات الأيام ما تمضي لياليها، تمضي لياليها، حلوة الليالي تتوارى مثل الأحلام، حلوة الليالي تتوارى مثل الأحلام، مخضور عني عداد الوقت يخفيها، الوقت يخفيها.
Marhaban, marhaban. Hello, everyone. I am John Coleman from Institute for the Humanities, an alternative college and high school here on New Milford, Connecticut, USA. The purpose of this broadcast and recording is to get our weekly checkup with Latin, Arabic, Greek, maybe Swahili, maybe French. This recording and broadcast is for Arabic. And you can tell a long day remains for Mr. Coleman here. Yes, we're on our Arabic checkup. And we're carrying on with our text, which is Alif Ba. I don't even have the, the stream camera up, and I'm holding it up. Oh boy. Alif Ba is our text. You'll see it soon enough here. What you do see now on the main screen is our college website, and we have all sorts of good stuff routinely updated coming up to the turning of the month, so there'll be all sorts of good stuff. Our pilgrimage is coming up. Angela has you covered with music. Learn about the project, or history and literature, unified teaching. But what I bring to your attention in particular is our enrollment tab. We have besides Latin and Greek, indeed, we do offer introductory Arabic here at the Institute. And we'll see how the cookie crumbles. We'll see how the schedule crumbles this autumn. But I would like to get a weekly reading session in for whoever is interested. So just as we have famously done with our Tuesday Latin sessions, reading the different novellas and whatnot, and having some fun chit-chatting in Latin. Likewise, I'd like to expand this to Greek, which we're going to be playing with in the latter half of this beautiful summer. And then once the fall semester starts, getting Arabic on the rolls there. So that would be a weekly free but private sessions. So it's not going to be broadcast on BitChute or Rumble or whatever. So in the meantime, I would encourage you to look at our class catalog, and besides the languages mentioned, consider all of the offerings of your college. Everyone's bitching and moaning about the state of education. Well, some of us are doing something about it, and it remains incumbent upon you to support that if you believe it to be worthy work. A lot of talkers, not so many doers, you find out. So anyway, that's the enrollment tab. See ya in class. All right. Moving along here, we will have our screen share coming online shortly. But we want to review when you think you don't need to. I say this with the Latin students all the time. They never listen to me, and that's why on more than one occasion, more than 5 occasions, more than 10 occasions, you'll still be reviewing the cases a year or 2 or 3 years into study, because people are not reviewing things. Listen, it's not these languages for us, wherever we are in the world, probably are not the languages spoken in the street. And so we have to reinforce these things. So we spent the first several sessions in this series looking at the Arabic alphabet. We're just going to run through it twice. I'm going to sing it once. I'm going to recite it another. And then we're also going to get into numbers 1 through 9 and our book, and then we'll do a bit of writing. You can see this particular chart is very helpful because it shows you the direction that your pen is supposed to go. All right, here we go with the old ABC tune. And you come to find out it works for other alphabets as well, kind of. Here we go. Going again right to left. Alif, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, ka. Dal, daha, ra, za, sin, shin, saud. Daud, ta, da, ein, gain, fa, qaf. Kaf, lam, mim, nun, ha, wa, ya. Go once again. Alif, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, ka, dal, dahal, ra, zin, sin, shin, saud, daud, ta, da, ein, gain, fa, qaf, qahaf, lam, mim, nun, ha, wa, ya. I might take a few exceptions to some of the ways they transliterate this into Latin sounds, but you can find many aids online to this, and the book I'll show you has its own exercises. Besides the audio visual, I found the CD incidentally. If only I had a computer with a CD player. I just realized that I actually do have such a computer, but it's gathering dust. That old physical media. Anyway, many aids here. So if you're going to be a nerd like me and quibble about the Latin letters and the choices there. For instance, this one here, right? This is Saud. Saud, as in, sounds like Saudi Arabia, if you like. And yet, in typical English pronunciation, this would be sad. Right. So anyway, there's a bunch of examples of that. What's the real takeaway from this chart are the assists when it comes to penmanship. We're going to practice with that today. Some just copying, not even knowing what we're copying, just copying the letters. We're back to kindergarten. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, there's our alphabet, and then now we're going to expand to our numbers. For some reason, language programs, regardless of the tongue, often put their numbers treatment, their numbers chapters, deep into the series. I don't know why. I would just say jump on it right away. Once you get the alphabet down, start working on the numbers. And the reason is you have excuses to use the numbers every time you turn a page, every time you look at the clock. As we move along, finding excuses to use our languages is going to become more and more important and easier and easier. I mean, that's so easy that we have I'm happen to be looking at page 15 on a book here, on the Arabic book, Hamza tata ashar, Sita tata ashar, Tamaniya tata ashar, 15, 16, 17. We'd be fools to throw away these opportunities. I know they seem pedantic. They are pedantic. I'm a pedagogue. You were my pupils. Of course, we're going to be pedantic. We have to take little baby steps. And indeed, we would be foolish to pass up the opportunity when we turn a page to not know the numbers. So here we go. Now, the first thing we need to know as we go here is that Arabic numbers are written like English or Western numbers. And I don't mean the symbol. You can see there's some variation, although there's some interesting similarities. What I mean is that it is written left to right. I did not stutter. So the Arabic language is written, like Semitic languages in general, right to left. Okay, you see my cursor? Right, right, to left. Right to left. We know that. Right. That's why this chart is right, right. My cursor left, and then you start again on the right. Okay, if this was learning English letters, so called, right, we would be left to right. So in England, in English letters, here are English letters at the bottom, right? They're giving directions. Everything is left to right, letters and numbers. What's weird or unusual or proper to Arabic, as you like, is that the letters, the text is written right to left, but the numbers are still to be read left to right, just like we're familiar with in the West. So I double checked that, and I was confirmed in my hunch there. All right. So 0 is not a number. So every class nerd in math class will remind you 0 is not a number. 1 is the loneliest number, as the Beatles will remind you. Okay. So sifr, 0, wahid, 1, sifr, wahid, ithain, is 2, ithain, thalatha, thalatha is 3, arbaha, 4, hamza, 5, sita, 6, sabat, 7. Oh my goodness, Sabbath. Get it? Sabbath. Oh my goodness. Sabbath. Sifr, wahid, ithain, thalatha, arbaha, hamza, sita, sabbath, thamaniya. That's the it looks like a mountain. That's the big one to pronounce. Thamaniya is 8. Thamaniya. Sifr, wahid, ithain, thalatha, arbaha, hamza, sita, sabbath, thamaniya, tisa. Tisa is the clone of R9, Tisa. And you can see some similarity, right? Wahid. We kind of switched up the 3 and 4 in the way we represent it. 7 looks, the 6 looks a lot like 7. Okay, so we'll just run through it seriously, twice, thrice, and then we'll move on. So, Sifr, Wahid, Ithain, Thalatha, Arbaha, Hamza, Sita, Saba, Thamaniya, Tisa, Sifr, Wahid, Ithain, Thalatha, Arbaha, Hamza, Sita, Sabat, if the cursor would move, Thamaniya, Tisa. One last time. Sifr, Wahid, Ithain, Thalatha, Arbaha, Hamza, Sita, Sabat, Thamaniya, Tisa. Hamza, Sita, Sabat, Thamaniya, Tisa. All right. And soon enough, once we get this down, we'll also go backwards. Tisa, Thamaniya, Sabat, Sita, Hamza, Arbaha. Always trip up on number 3, going backwards. Sifr, Wahid, Thalatha, Ithain, Wahid, Sifr. All right. There we go. Just practice adjuncts to help you online. This was our background image, by the way, during the opening few minutes there as we got settled in. I think this is the Shahada in a very, very calligraphic writing. I'm pretty sure this is the Shahada, the Muslim creed, so-called. And you'll see this all over the place. In Islamic societies and in just the Middle East and so forth. And this, as we learn from Alif Ba, the text that I'll be momentarily shifting to, these vowel markers really don't find reproduction in a typical Arabic texts. It's kind of assumed that the reader will know these things and they'll know the pronunciation. It's interesting because it's that you'll see that with Semitic languages, they kind of how do you say, they have the way the language is written, it's kind of indications, and you kind of have to fill in. It's not, it's not like English or something where every letter has to be there, or Latin for that matter, much more so, because there aren't hidden letters and hidden sounds. Let me show you what I mean. I'm gonna exit out of here, and I need to put on my, well, here, no, I need to change the camera. They have all these new settings on StreamYard, some of which are a little bit easier to use and some of which just take some getting used to. Okay, so the stream camera should go on here. When you see the blue background, it's because I ran out of my my time limit on the main channel, so I have all these backup channels. They only give you 20 hours of recording, and I tap that out about mid-month these days with the history classes and all. Okay, what I was mentioning is that Semitic languages like Arabic kind of assume you know things. This isn't Arabic. This is my English writing. I just write words just to practice my handwriting. I just write words that are on the radio or on a podcast or something. And then I've occasionally had people walk by or find this stuff after, and it looks like the rantings of a madman because none of the words make sense. I'm just practicing the letters. I'm not really paying attention to what I'm saying, so it just sounds psychotic. Okay, so I'm trying to think of an English example of what I'm saying. Here in the Holy Bible, we know that when Jesus is crucified, shame on me, I don't have a cross around here. Here's a white Jesus. Okay, right. I'll keep you from looking at bad things online. Keep a picture of Jesus, white or black. There you go. Okay, so on the cross in the Holy Bible, Jesus says, "Oh God, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And you can take that in all sorts of directions, and people have. But in reality, he's quoting Psalm 21:22. And in a Semitic context, he's assuming, and the author of that recollection is assuming we know that he's quoting an entire psalm. So you just say part of it, and you let the audience fill in the rest. I'm trying to think. We do this with movies in the world, right? It doesn't mean America only. We do this with movies. You'll often have, if you watch Star Wars, they'll just play a few bars of the John Williams dun, 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 right throughout it. You'll see this very often in all sorts of films. The main theme, they'll just drop throughout very subtly a few bars from the main score. And the directors and the producers are assuming you're filling in the meaning of that, and that has some other purposes. When the language is written, what would be another final example of this, where like you have in Arabic, this is where I'm coming from, right? This is what I started off with. You don't, in main Arabic, don't have the vowel markers you see up top here. Those are dropped, as our text Alif Ba reminds us, right? They're dropped. Typically in the Arabic-speaking world, right, they're assuming you're going to know the vowel markers. So most of the text looks like this. You see where I'm running out of fingers and hands. Here, you see this? You don't see vowel markers. Okay, the dots or you don't see pronunciation markers. The dots are not pronunciation markers. Okay, you have a little hamza up here. Fair enough. But by and large, they're dropped. And yet here we are in an instructional text. And in the Arabic calligraphy that we began with, the Shahada, and it was heavily, heavily voweled and heavily accented, right? So again, Semitic languages are assuming as you know them better that you can just fill in the blanks. So you know, the what is it? The Wheel of Fortune did this. You know, the Wheel of Fortune show where you have to fill in the letters, and you can kind of, as the word gets closer, um, or yeah, I don't know. Here, finally, here, people play around with. I don't know if this is the best example, but you know, peer to peer. You know, peer, and then you know, you'll have like a number, and they're assuming that you know that means the word two, but they're playing around with it, or oh, yeah, or another would be, oh, here we go. The big one would be like emojis, like OMG, right? You're assuming the person you're sending to knows that this means oh my god, or LOL, laugh out loud. Okay, sorry for that on an angle there, but okay, right, we do this too, right? You're assuming people can fill in the gaps and understand where they have to do some work. And the point is that Semitic languages like Arabic do that just as much. Okay, let's go over this vocab, and by the next session, we are going to know this inside and out, and then we're going to just copy some of this, a few of these simple ones, and that'll be a day's work. So I'm mostly in these broadcasts going to focus on what's called MSA, Modern Standard Arabic. This is the formal or written Arabic. This is the Arabic your town mayor is going to say, or your president. It's the, let's see, it's the Arabic that the CIA and MI6 is going to use when they're broadcasting Al Jazeera to you in a wartime propaganda. This is the Arabic that's going to be used in your mosque or your church at a graduation ceremony, and this is the stuff you're going to see on TV. And then you have these dialects, these six. 5 or 6 other dialects: the Shami, the Masri, the North African near Mauritania, and all this stuff. There's an Iraqi dialect, and then I think there's an Arabic, Arab Peninsula one as well. And they're a little bit more different than English in America and English in Britain or Australia. The differences are a bit more marked. It's more like, let's see, it's more the differences in Arabic dialect are more noticeable and tricky than, as I say, the different types of English that are spoken. But they're less tricky than something like American Standard English and Creole in Louisiana, which are technically, the same language, but my goodness gracious, do you have to work to hear what that Creole man is saying? So there you go for a rule of thumb. Okay, so these are just basic greetings here, so I don't have to keep joggling back and forth. I'll see if I can fit both in. And for some reason in the recording, the text never appears as sharp as it does in this moment as I'm recording it in the final processing, but I hope this helps. So we're just going back and forth here. So our meeting for the greetings, just a common greeting, yes, an Islamic greeting, but just like a lot of Christian greetings, Merry Christmas or God bless you when you sneeze, don't necessarily have a religious connotation. The same with Assalamu alaikum wa. Well, here it says Assalamu alaikum, and then you might also hear Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuhu, peace and blessings upon you. So Assalamu alaikum, you'll see this. All right, Assalamu alaikum, and we're just focusing on MSA. Then hello or hi, ahlan, ahlan, ahlan. We're going to reproduce some of these letters soon enough. Then hello, ahlan wa sahlan. So very similar, right? I would encourage you to listen to, if not I shouldn't beat up on Al Jazeera, even though they do have certain intelligence uses. But if you listen to Al Jazeera in Arabic or Al Arabiya, you'll hear that often, right? Ahlan at the beginning of the hour when they start ahlan wa sahlan. So there you go. There's your hellos. Then another version of that is marhaban, marhaban, marhaban in the Levant. The Levant is what we call Palestine, how do you say, Lebanon, and of course Syria. Jordan, maybe. So the Levant. Then Anna, 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 I, Anna, I, Ismi. Now why can't I? Aha. Is held up by a cord. If you only knew the setup, you think my handwriting looks crazy. You should see the setup I have for this camera. And I can't quite move it over any farther. I'm kind of blocked off. I have this old computer cabinet when they still had towers, and so I'm blocked by a wall here to move the book over anymore. Neither the camera, but we'll make it work. So Anna is I. My name is Ismi. Ismi, you're gonna have to take my word for it here because I can't display the whole book without joggling back and forth. So Ismi is my name. So Ismi John, Ismi Jennifer, Ismi Mark, whatever. Ismi, my name. From Mean, from the city of Madinat. So you often hear Mean Madinat on New York, whatever. Fi is in. Fi is in. And hey, if we have the internet, let's use it. Let's use it and turn on that Arabic TV. If you don't like the news, you can find all sorts of other things. But see, as a homework here, see, as I will try to do, if we can identify these very common words and expressions in our next stretch before we meet again, which will probably be 2 weeks from now. I'm still playing with the schedule because when the fall semester comes, things will have to be hard baked into things, and so what was originally going to be a 5 times a week thing is just going to work out better if it's twice a week, once always with Latin, and then we're going to alternate for the time being between Greek and Arabic. Again, the whole purpose of these language recordings is to encourage you to take our proper courses here at Apocatastastis. Shameless promotional, huh? Okay, so assalamu alaikum. To recap, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaban, anna ismi min madinat fi. Those are our ones there. These are very common. You can go back over and write these down if you just slow down the recording and write them down, or just buy the book. You can get this pretty standard use. These textbooks are always being redone so that the previous edition is, indicated to be outdated for the purposes of selling books by publishers. That means you can buy from old discouraged college students these texts rather easily. It's a whole racket, the textbook industry. When I was coming up, they were such rack renters that the textbook companies weren't even, they were just selling the paper, because these books were like $100, these textbooks you need in college. And I mean, it was immoral, actually. I don't throw that term around. I think it was immoral what they were doing. But whatever, in the age of capital. So, you would get your $100 textbook with a cover, a typical binding, and then these rats would sell you just the loose leaf pages of the book for your like $10 less or something. It was so consumeristic and still exploitative. All right, a few things here as we finish up with handwriting. Again, you can easily access that chart with not just the alphabet, but the pen stroke directions online. But what I would encourage you to do is, yes, notice the pronunciation here, because these letters are still new to us, let's be honest. And much of this is not even an introductory text. This is a primer to the introductory text of the Al-Kitab series. But most of this text, which is, it's only 250 pages long, but most of this is just getting everyone up to speed to pronouncing the letters. This is still, let's be real, this is still very intimidating to us. But one of the things that makes it less intimidating is if we see it spelled out in English letters, and you'll be able to marry, your pronunciation with what appears here. So that'll help you, especially in me, to adjust to the vowel and the pronunciation markers at the top. So getting really, really, really close here. Don't want to write on the book, so put my pen aside and take up the old dip pen. Here's an alif. So an alif makes an A sound, and yet this has a vowel marker with a hamza. So we see this alif with the ha and the kahan is ahlan. So there's this, not ahlan, not alan, but ahlan. So I just wanted to point out how that will put more of a breath into the breathing. So ahlan. So there you go. I just wanted to make that point up close there. So let's recite and let's say replicate a few of these things. Maybe we'll stick with ahlan and maybe we'll do ahlan wa sallan, kind of build off of that. One other thing I wanted to say towards just learning the pronunciation is a dictionary will come in handy. Even an online dictionary, if that's what you have access to, then use it. Right? You don't have money, that's okay. Use what you have. Go to your libraries, use the online one, or maybe they have an Arabic dictionary, perhaps. But what I wanted to do is also encourage you and I to, find benefit in words in Arabic that begin with the same letter. In this case, it's also the ha sound, and especially with proper nouns like we have hijra. This can also help us grasp the pronunciation better. So we have hijra. We all remember that from high school history, or maybe only high school history teachers remember that. But hijra is when Muhammad skedaddles from Mecca. So hijra, that's how we pronounce it. That's how it's written in English. And almost as a Rosetta Stone, you know how this is pronounced in English. This has gone through all sorts of spellings in the last 100 years, but here we go. Hijra. Okay, I know it's hijra. So that's going to help me pronounce the ha as it appears here and how it interacts with the jim. Right? And so I would encourage you with proper nouns like hijra, America, I don't know, McDonald's, whatever, country names, even. Beyond America, to use these as anchors. I mean, this is a real good one because it's an example of an Arabic word that enters English with pretty tight Arabic pronunciation, even in English. Islam, right? All of that, because that'll help you. That almost like the Rosetta Stone. So this is pronounced like it appears. So that'll help you pronounce the ha and the jim and the ra and the ya. So hijra. And then as you get more comfortable with this, you'll be able to play around with hijima, offensive, or not hajima, because now I know that this ha and this jim. Okay, hijimiya, or attack, hijim, and so forth. So just go down, and it doesn't need to be long. These are review. When I encourage review, it needn't take more than 5 or 10 minutes, but it does need to take time in your study routine. Don't just jump into things. So I would encourage you with a dictionary, especially, this sort of thing is good when you want to, you're learning vocab, you're learning this, but I really do think there is a benefit of sticking with a single letter and then noticing how the pronunciation alters as the few subsequent letters change there. That'll help you, especially to anchor yourself on proper nouns. Okay, so At long last, let's finish up with some simple stuff. We're still learning the alphabet. Don't get intimidated. I think with especially with languages that don't share our alphabet, there's real intimidation there. I find it myself. With Greek and with Arabic. It's easier to do Latin. That's fine. That's one of the reasons that Latin is more approachable. But really, once you get the letters, the sounds down, rather, the letters and the alphabet aren't so intimidating. So let's try it with our ahlan. Ahlan once again means hello. And we're just going to copy it down 3 times, and we'll do another one, and we'll call it quits. So there's our alif with the hamza and the vowel marker, which is skipping my mind right now. How do you call that? And then you have the ha and the kaha. All right, and we're going to do that 2 more times, and then I'm going to find out what that vowel marker is that I just wrote. And you'll see there's it's pretty commonsensical, just like in English. For you and I, because we're so very often used to writing in a different direction. So you have to get used to that. I happen to be left-handed, the devil's own spawn. And so, so you don't know. You non-left-handed people don't know. Of course, no one really writes anymore with a pen. But here's my left pinky, and the trauma that this poor finger had to take. Because if you're left-handed and you're writing in a Western language, what ends up happening, the trauma for generations of children in school, that your whole backside of your hand is dragging as you're writing left to right. You're here, right? Your hand, you right-handed people don't know this. When you're writing left to right, when you're writing, the rest of your hand is dragging across the text. So that might, if you're writing in ink, smudge things, or even in graphite, smudge things, and it will certainly leave a tattoo of sorts on the back side of your hand. But when you're writing in Arabic, you don't have that problem. The left-handed people rule. Okay, so that's ahlan. And let's do ahlan wa sallan. Let's finish on a real doozy. That again is just another way of saying hello. So we have the ahlan that we've just mastered. Make sure we get this in the frame. Okay. Ahlan wa sallan. I'm going to have to write this a little bit smaller. Let's do this 3 times. So there's the ha and the kaha. Okay. And then, so we have our hamza and our vowel. And then we have the wa. That's the and. So that's the wa. And then sallan. So this, now we have a bigger one. Now I do not speak for Arabic writers. I'm just showing you how I do it and how I do it fastest. So usually what I'll try to identify is a common line underneath, and then I go back and I fill things in. As you and I get better at this, I'm sure our handwriting technique will get better as well. So this ahlan, ahlan, and of course we don't want to forget the vowel markers. Wahlan, ahlan, lan. All right, so ahlan wa sallan. Let's do that 2 more times, and we'll knock off for the day. So it's again ahlan wa, and then notice what I'm doing. I'm just drawing the spine under the back, and then I go back and fill it in. I'll double check, and I'm sure there are people that have opinions on how to do this better. Don't worry about technique. Don't worry about technique so much when you and I are just starting off. Sometimes, as Chesterton says, the perfect, you're not going to, well, here, the perfect is the enemy of the good. You don't have to get all this stuff done perfect the first time around. It's going to look like mine does, progressively worse. Okay, and you're going to keep forgetting to do the vowel markers, and that's okay. That's the fun of it, and then a vowel, and the ha. Of course, we know that the intermediate letters will often, just like the initial and the terminal letters, will often have a different look. So we won't go over that right now, but that's how your ha ends up looking like a letter 8, at least the way I wrote it. And hey, I think the way they wrote it too. So ahlan wa sahlan, hello. Okay. So there we go. We'll bring down the bird here with these. So let's study these, the different greetings and so forth. And speaking of tattoos, I just tattooed my book, son of a gun. The hazards of teaching. Okay, no one will notice. That's why they invented whiteout. Anyone remember whiteout? Okay, so we'll bring down the bird here. I'm going to make a note with my marker. And again, this is from Alif Ba. You might want to buy the book or I'm sure you can get a PDF online. Practice the letters, practice the greetings there, and see if you can identify some of the greetings whilst you're listening to Arabic programming. News is very good because especially the news is going to be just, MSA, and it's going to be pretty, if it's not getting too heated, pretty calm presentation as opposed to a drama or something. So it's a good on-ramp. And then work on practicing your lettering. And you can find all sorts of charts, as this cover, in fact, indicates, where you draw the direction you draw the penmanship and the ink. All right. So there we go. My goodness gracious, we went on for 40 minutes. I'll take it. And I'll also wish you a good day and say masalama.